Shalom Israel. First, I want to start by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders, apostles, and bishops of GMS Great Millstone who rule well, teach, and edify in peace and blessings. And to you, hopefully elect Akim and Akwat in this household of faith. My name is Yeshaya from the GMS Arizona Church, Adawan Ratazah. Gonna make an edifying video going into this topic right here. It says, would you drink poison if you were thirsty? Okay, that's a quote in the world. And, it pertains to a lot of you jakes. The Lord gives you truth, the Lord gives you life, and the Lord gives you good fruits, and you niggas still want to drink fucking Henny. Just shoot. Me speaking as a man. But I actually went to the store. I went to the gas station early this morning, like 7 in the morning. I had a couple errands I want to run, and I usually go to the gym and get the bulk of like the important stuff of my day done as early as possible. I go in there at 7 in the morning. I got I go in line to put 20 on 2, and this Jake walk in, he get 3 shooters. He's looking all scruffy. He ain't looking, too hot, And then this other Jake woman, she come in loud and proud, the clamors room in like Proverbs 9 and 13, when a woman clamors, but yet they know nothing. She's like, can I get 2 backwoods and 3 of these? It's 7 in the fucking morning. It's 7 in the morning, right? 7 in the morning. And even then, you got some Edomites in there, getting their packs of beers. And it just kind of shows you the state that the people are in right now. And primarily, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You best believe Issachar, when they wake up early in the morning, they load up the water for the day of hard labor out for Esau and shit. You already know they probably snag a couple beers here and there. And there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol, early in the morning sometimes. But when you fucking doing this shit every day, like you could tell, the spirit is on certain people that they're just really getting destroyed by their environment. They're getting destroyed by this world. The world's wickedness in Esau's system is really tearing you jakes down. So when Esau comes in with this big, beautiful fucking MOTB that he fucking thinks and has, and he's going to put it on you jakes, y'all going to see it as this glamorous thing. Right, but it's actually death. Right? That's the MOTB. That's your submission to Esau, Edom. That's you committing to Esau to be your God. Right? And this devil is out here coursing and basically grooming you jakes to, and mentally to be able to be weak enough to take that. To not know your Lord, to not know your power, to not know the truth, so that you do take that shit. Okay? But Ecclesiastes. And I actually got a couple precepts written down because I felt, kind of bad about that shit. Because it's like, our people is supposed to be this great nation. This nation divided from the rest of the world. But as of right now, we are in this, in this terrible state. And it's because of our own iniquity, of course, right? But at the same time, it's like, this devil got to go, man. This devil got to get the fuck out of here. But Ecclesiastes 3 says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, and a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. All right? And right now is not the time to be drunk off all the fucking time. And right now is not the time to be eating all kinds of badass diets and bullshit in your body right now. The times that we're in, it's necessary for you to be sharp. Sharp is a blade, man. All right? Because shit's evil nowadays. You got to be circumspect. You got to be aware. You got to be knowing right now. Okay? Now's not the time. The rest of the jakes is 2/3. They scatterbrain no matter what you do for them, right? First and second admonition, reject. These people don't really care about the truth. They're, like the scripture says, they are not valiant unto the truth. They don't stand by it. They don't care about the truth. Okay? They want to live for now and they want to enjoy now. Okay? Because that's the nature that they're in. But as for those that understand Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, understand this truth and fear the Lord, with all diligence, man, don't be fucking drunk all day. Don't be trying to, don't be taking edibles all fucking day and just blowing your day off, bro. Each day is important to prove your soul to the Lord. There's a quote in the world. It's like, when you put things off tomorrow, you give away all your potential for today. And we're not in the times that you can afford to do that thing. And if you feel like you can't afford to do that thing, all right, that's, you got to do some self-examination. Because every day we should give unto the Lord, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you want, regardless of how you want to make yourself feel. Okay? The next point is Jeremiah 2:13. Jeremiah 2 and verse 13, just getting straight to the point. It says, "For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn them out cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold water." And that just goes into how Jake always choosing to basically go into the wrong things, to go into the poison. The Lord has established this fountain of living water. In the NLT it says, "But they have dug themselves cracked cisterns that cannot hold water at all." So they'd rather be dried out. And that's what the state that they're in, pursuing to Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, and that they're in that valley of dry bones that are very dry. Precept in that also to Revelations 11 and 8. Those that are dead in Sodom and Egypt. But we that are in his truth have been quickened by Yahweh Shemi Yahshai, pursuing to Ephesians, the first chapter, or the second chapter in the first verse, reading on down. All right, now that we understand this truth, we understand that everything needs a balance. Going back to the Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, that just shows there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time to drink wine, of course. It's commanded that we drink wine, even in the Passover, right? But at the same time, you have to understand the balance. The scriptures say a false balance is an abomination unto the Lord. So when you out here constantly drunk, did the scriptures not say, "Be sober, be vigilant, for Satan, your adversary, come down like a lion," roughly paraphrasing? All right, this devil is out to get you jakes. All right, soon enough, that great insurrection of the people is going to come down. Hey, check it. It's soon enough we're going to have to deal with power outages. World War III is right around the corner. Okay, you're going to get this famine. You're going to get pestilence all around this place, all right? The prophecies are going to start kicking off. It's going to be a snowball effect. We have entered into Jacob's trouble. It's only a matter of time before Esau comes down with that harsh martial law, okay? So it's always wise to be sharp right now. Right now is the time to really dial in, all right? Now's the time to turn on that nitrous. You think you gave it all you got. Let's try to see if you got anything left in that, that tank. To give it all that you got, okay? And not be beaten down by this place, because, the scriptures pursuing to Daniel, the 7th chapter, they weareth out the saints of the Most High. This is a tough life to live, but at the end of the day, we have to deal with it. We have to deal with it, and we have to cherish Yahweh Shemi Yahshai and thank him every day for the things that we do deal with, all right? But Ephesians, the 4th chapter, this is a little bit of a different template than I'm used to making videos. I had them written down, through the Spirit. I just felt like I really wanted to, get some good points. Because that shit you seeing Jake like that, it makes you think about yourself, because you can be in that same situation if you're not, staying on top of yourself. The Apostle Paul said in 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, in the 27th verse, says, "I keep under my body." Okay, you basically, keeping diligence upon your flesh, man. Mortify you members thereof. Colossians, the 3rd chapter. We are commanded to be disciplined. We are commanded to have a high level of integrity to do the right thing. Okay, the right thing by Yahweh Shemi Yahshai, and the right thing by ourselves and our family. Okay, at the end of the day, we are commanded to be that good example. Okay, we are the light unto the earth. You see all these 2/3, and you see these heathens and shit. They, 2/3 acting like heathens. Now you see them living dirty. All right, Jake's not a dirty people. We're clean. We're picked up. We take showers, man. We got good fucking hygiene. That's another point too. Like, make sure you keep up with your hygiene. Take care of yourself, man. Take showers and shit. Like, if you go on a week without a shower, like, try to see where the root cause is at, the root problem. Because I guarantee you probably, it's in our nature to be clean. Okay, so there's something probably holding you down through the Spirit that you might have to fast on or pray on to get that fucking demon off of you, man. Real talk. But Ephesians, the 1st chapter, zooming down to the 26th verse, and it says, "Be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath." So you can be angry. You can be vexed in this place. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't sin because of it. You shouldn't be so angry and so vexed that you just, spaz out, drink yourself all fucked up and end up in a hospital, or end up fighting somebody, or end up in a fucked up situation, DUIs. You shouldn't be so vexed that you start doing fucked up shit. Okay? That's not a good example. That's not what we were commanded to do. Be angry and sin not, because the wages of sin are death. Pursuing the Romans, the 6th chapter. It has a whole entire way of how it makes itself up. It says, scriptures talk about being tempted of the flesh, and then you sin, and then the end of sin thereof is death. All right, so you have to be careful on how you going about this life. Okay, there's going to be trials and tribulations. There's going to be all kinds of bullshit that's going to come your way. But at the end of the day, you have to keep on top of it. That we are commanded to do that. The scriptures talk about count your costs. Okay, the scriptures talk about the condition of the battle. Sirach, the 2nd chapter, says, if thou comest to serve the Lord, prepares thy soul for temptation. All right. So at the end of the day, bro, this is a part of the walk that we walk. And you have to accept that. If you accept Yahweh Shem Yahushua and you fear the Lord, that fear is going to drive you to do the right thing day in, day out, regardless of how the fuck you feel about it. James, the 1st chapter, in the 15th verse. All right. James 1 in verse 15. And it says, I'm going to read up a little bit. It says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it finished, bringeth forth death. So this is the whole process, and you're led away from that. And you cannot blame. I'm gonna read up one more time. It says, verse 13, it says, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, for the Lord cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. So at the end of the day, bro, you can't blame the Lord because you feel too weak to fucking deal with your own lot. The scriptures talk about in the Corinthians that the Lord tempted not any man above that which he can take. All right, the lot that you have is given to you specifically for you to deal with, and to that the fact that if you deal with it, it's not going to be something so overbearing that you can't deal with it. Like for example, for Job, when the Lord said to Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? The Lord knew Job was going to be able to deal with it. The Lord knew Job. The Lord doesn't take losing bets. The Lord knew Job was going to be able to hold it down. Okay? He knew he was going to be able to keep it right. But at the end of the day, you have to have faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua that the things that you're going through are not for your fucking destruction, but rather for your growth and development, to have more faith, fear, and honor in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Okay? This is the life that we live, and you must accept it. Whereas the rest of these 2/3, like those 2/3 that I seen at the gas station, out here just getting fucked up, at 7 in the morning. They're beat down by their situation. They're losing. All right, we fight a battle. We don't fight the battle just to get by. Sometimes the battles you do just get by. Sometimes you ain't gonna fucking, you ain't go Samson your way through every single battle. Sometimes you're gonna have to barely scratch by the hair of your head, man. Sometimes it's going to get like that. But for the majority, you should have the warrior spirit, man, that breakthrough mentality, so that when you do enter these battles, you want to, enter it with the right mind and do your very best to prove yourself to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, to honor the Lord and praise him always. But I'm going to finish up with this Proverbs 23, starting at 31. Zoom down. It says, look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. All right, so and this is speaking about spirit. It could talk about real wine, or it could even talk about just wine spiritually, meaning just like the thought processes, or spiritual things, all right, or wants and needs, flesh. It says, at the last it biteth like a serpent and sting like an adder. So look not on the wine when it's red. Red meaning like an illustrious color, a color that draws you in. It's attractive. They say that red is the most attractive color to wear. And it says when it is in the cup and it moveth right. So like when that wine's in the cup, it's the most tempting to drink. Say you at a restaurant and they pour, you say, oh, I'm not going to drink, but they pour you a cup of wine. You're going to be tempted to drink that cup of wine at that stage because you're looking at it. But we're commanded in integrity. So regardless of how something looks, regardless of how much you want something, regardless of how you feel about some shit, man, you have to do the right thing, even when shit is tempting you to do the wrong thing. Verse 32, at the last it biteth like a serpent and sting like an adder. So if you give into the temptation of it, if you give into it, if you give into that wine, you give into the wine of this fucking place, Babylon the Great, it's going to bite you in the ass, right? It's going to bite you in the ass, and it's going to bite you hard, okay? You want to please the Lord by doing the right thing. The scriptures talk about a truly wise man learns by example of others, roughly paraphrasing. All right. You got the beloved elders, apostles, and many brothers that teach you the right thing to do. And they teach you in the spirit of experience that they have gone through those things. And they command you to do the right thing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Don't ignore that advice. The advice that the brothers give is advice that's real. It's real life, man. And brothers been through it. All right. So when they tell you something like that, it's like, hey, man, it's probably for a reason, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to cause yourself torment. You don't want to decorate your hell, as brothers say, You know, you don't want to just add more bullshit on your plate. You know, just keep your plate as clean as possible. You know, especially in the times that we're in, it's very important to try to clean. But Proverbs 14, I think it's like 12, says, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. Says, so basically like that. You know, you give in to this place and you think it might seem right at that very time. At the end of that shit is death, bro, because you're going to be sinning. You're going to be fucking up. But I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to lastly give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Shalom.